Bless up, viewers and subscribers. Welcome back to the Daily Scoop, where we get straight into the biggest conversation happening in dancehall and Jamaican entertainment. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications, and hit that like button because today's story has several layers to it. We are talking about Likkle Vybz, Little Haddy, Masicka Vybz Kartel, Skillibeng, Bunty Killer, and the growing conversation about whether this situation is heading towards another major lyrical confrontation. So let's get straight into it. The latest conversation started when a social media user asked why Masicka has made comments involving Vybz Kartel, but Kartel's sons have not responded to him lyrically. Instead of ignoring the comment, Likkle Vybz jumped into the conversation with a very short response, and that response was essentially calling Masicka a clone. Now, one word can create a lot of conversation in dancehall. Likkle Vybz did not release a song, he did not drop a full disc, he did not give us several minutes of lyrics, but because of the history surrounding these names, that one comment was enough to get people talking. And this is where things become interesting, because for quite some time, dancehall fans have been asking a very simple question. If Masicka and Skillibeng are exchanging lyrical shots, why are people trying to pull Vybz Kartel's son into the situation? That is an important question. The current discussion appeared to have started because some fans believe that Likkle Vybz or Little Haddy should respond to Masicka directly. But should they? That's where the opinion becomes divided. Let's be realistic. Masicka is not a new artist. He has spent years building his reputation, developing his sound, touring internationally, and releasing successful projects. So if one of Vybz Kartel's sons suddenly jump into a serious lyrical battle with Masicka, the entire conversation would immediately become bigger than just music. People would start comparing experience, they would compare catalog, they would compare international reach, they would compare songwriting, they would compare performances, and of course everybody would bring Vybz Kartel into the conversation. That is why I believe the decision to respond or not respond is something that should be carefully considered, because sometimes the strongest move is not answering every challenge. A social media comment can disappear tomorrow. A disc record, however, becomes part of your musical history. Once you record it and release it, people can analyze those lyrics for years. So Likkle Vybz calling Masicka a clown on social media is one thing. Turning that comment into an actual song is something completely different. And this brings us back to the history between Masicka and Vybz Kartel. There was a time when Masicka publicly expressed respect for Kartel. There was also a period when Masicka was seen around members of the Gaza camp, and there were plenty of positive reaction. Fans remember those moments, but things became more complicated after Kartel returned to the public eye. Masicka also started speaking more confidently about his own position within the new generation. That created different interpretation. Some fans heard confidence, others heard disrespect. And once the word king entered a dancehall conversation, you already know what happened. The fans begin choosing sides. Some people say Vybz Kartel remained the ultimate standard. Others believe a new generation has earned the right to establish its own leaders. And that is where Masicka name keeps coming up. Masicka has built a serious career. There is no denying about that. His album have performed strongly, his international audience has grown, and he has established himself as one of the major voices of his generation. But when somebody says they are the king of a new generation, certain fans automatically hear something else. They hear, I'm ready to take the position. And if Kartel is still active, still performing, and still releasing music, that conversation becomes even more complicated, because Kartel is not just another artist, its influence on dancehall is enormous. That's exactly why people like Bounty Killer have repeatedly spoken about the importance of recognizing the artists who help build the road for those coming behind them. And Bounty comments in this situation are important because he has always been vocal about dancehall history, legacy, and respect. Bounty Killer perspective essentially bring another element into this debate. Instead of looking at dancehall as one artist replacing another overnight, he tends to emphasize the fact that every generation stands on the shoulders of artists who came before. That is something worth thinking about. You can be a new star without pretending the old star never exists. You can build your own lane without disrespecting the people who created opportunities for you, and you can believe Masicka is one of the best artists of this generation while still acknowledging Vybz Kartel impact. Those things can exist at the same time. The people begin when fans turn everything into a competition because sometimes the artists themselves aren't even fighting. It is the fans who are fighting for them. Now let's return to that clown comment. Why did it attract so much attention? Because calling another artist a clown is not simple saying that the artist is not good. It suggests that the entire style, image, sound, or identity is not completely original. That is a serious accusation in music. And if Masicka decided to respond, the easiest way would not necessarily be to throw insults. It could simply answer through music, show the writing, show the creativity, show the catalog. That is how these debates are supposed to be settled. Not through endless Instagram arguments, not through fans threatening each other, not through personal attack. Music should be the battlefield. But we cannot discuss this without mentioning Skillibeng, because Skillibeng is actually the center of another important part of the current conversation. Skillibeng has already released music that fans interpreted as shots towards Masicka, and now people are waiting to see whether Masicka will answer properly through music. That is where things become interesting, because if Masicka responds to Skillibeng, the entire situation could develop into a much bigger lyrical competition. And if he does not respond, people will create their own explanation. Some will say he is ignoring it, some will say he is forced on his album, others will say he is waiting for the right moment, and some fans will simply accuse him of being afraid. That is how social media work. No matter what you do, somebody will create a story around it. So if Masicka eventually responds to Skillibeng, I don't think people should expect a random song. They will be looking for directness, they will be listening for names, they will be analyzing lyrics, they will be checking whether Masicka actually addresses the points Skillibeng raised, and most importantly, they will be watching whether the two artists can keep the competition strictly musical, because dancehall has always had lyrical rivalry, that part of the culture, but there is a difference between a lyrical clash and real-life conflict. A good clash should showcase creativity, wordplay, delivery, and intelligence. It should not become an excuse for violence or dangerous behavior. Now we have to talk about the bigger point being made about Vybz Kartel influence. The argument from some veterans is that Kartel changed the financial expectation and possibilities for dancehall artists. Whether people agree with every statement or not, his impact on the business side of dancehall is difficult to ignore. Artists today have seen major dancehall performers headline larger venues. They have seen artists build international audience while maintaining a strong Jamaican identity. They are seeing social media become part of the promotional machine. They are seeing dancehall artists demand larger performance fees and larger stages. Vybz Kartel was a major part of that evolution, but recognizing his contribution doesn't mean every younger artist has to remain underneath him forever. That is the important balance. So that is where we are going to be leaving it for today. Likkle Vybz responding to a comment about Masicka as sparked fresh debate, Some fans want him and Little Ali to respond musically. Others believe they have nothing to prove. Masicka remained at the center of the conversation because of his previous lyrical issue with Vybz Kartel and the current tension surrounding Skillibeng. Skillibeng has already put himself into the discussion through his music. Bounty Killer remained one of the veterans whose opinion carry weight whenever conversation about dancehall past, present, and future emerge. So now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Likkle Vybz should actually record a diss song aimed at Masicka, or should he leave that situation alone? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Keep it respectful, no violence, no threat, just music, opinions, and debates. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to the Daily Scoop, turn on the notification bell, and share this video with somebody who follow dancehall. Until the next one, stay safe, stay focused, and keep supporting the music.